All right, well, on behalf of the Independence Chamber of Commerce and the City of Independence, I want to welcome you to First Friday. We are meeting virtually this morning, and we're all masked up. I'm going to take mine off so that you can hear me better. We're spread out so that we're all safe, and we've got a great speaker lineup for you this morning. But before we get started, we want to introduce our business sponsor this morning, Ascension Medical Group, St. John Independence. This morning we have Catherine Cornell, APRN BC, who is actually one of our speakers in November with all of the healthcare providers as we talked all about COVID. So would you please welcome Catherine Cornell.
Thank you, Lisa. My name is Catherine Cornell, and I'm a nurse practitioner at St. John Ascension Medical Group. We are located here in town at 800 West Laurel. For those of you who don't do directions, that's across from the Old Mercy Hospital, or where the city offices are now located. Our building has sort of a bronze roof, so it's easy to find. It is on the north side of that street. We are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. There are two other providers in that office besides myself. One of those is a nurse practitioner, and her name is Jody Oder, and then the other is Dr. Carver. Our office hosts cardiology as well, so even though they're not exactly considered St. John Ascension, we do have cardiologists that come to our building, and also Kidney Care of Oklahoma. I think most of you are familiar with what we do. Obviously, we see people when they're sick. We help to make them better. But we also do COVID testing. We are offering outdoor visits right now for that. So we actually come up to your vehicle, do an exam, and we can swab for strep, flu, RSV, COVID-19, and have your results back fairly quickly. One nice thing about our building that not all others have, is that we have a covered awning. So if you are bringing someone who is slow to get out of the vehicle and it's raining, you can bring them up to the front and unload them and then go park the vehicle. We also do have ample parking. Some other things that our office does that I don't think people are necessarily aware of, we do DOT physicals, well child and annual wellness checkups with lab. We also have capabilities for x-ray. So if you fall and hit your leg or cut yourself, we can x-ray you and suture you up if need be. We do minor skin procedures such as sutures or stitches. We also can do some skin biopsies and removal of bothersome skin lesions. We have a St. John Kids immunization program in our building as well. So children who need their routine vaccines come and get those. We have a lady there that does a great job with our kids, and she also reminds people about when vaccinations are due, which is extremely helpful. And lastly, we do offer home visits right now. And so if you or someone you know has a really hard time getting out of the house due to health concerns or mobility or even transportation issues, we can generally see them in their home. And so that's definitely a service we want to push. It will help keep people where it's safer. They don't have to come to the office and risk getting ill as well. That is all I have. So thank you guys for your time, and welcome the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that Catherine can't violate HIPAA, but I will say I've had family members see Jody Oder and Dr. Carver, and I personally have seen Catherine, so they have great medical providers at St. John. And I think that home visit idea is a really nice service that you're offering. So, and thank you again for being the business sponsor this morning. Talking about business sponsors, we do need business sponsors for 2021. So if you are a business and you would like to be able to support First Friday by having an opportunity to give your commercial and be on YouTube, be on Facebook Live, and help promote your business, be sure and reach out to the Chamber, and we can give you information on what it takes to be one of our business sponsors. So before we get started, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the community. Typically, we have a room full of about 80 to 100 people because that's prior to COVID. Now, in order to keep everyone safe, we have about 6 people in the audience right now that are helping us pull off this morning's event, and everyone else hopefully is watching on Facebook Live or will catch this later on in YouTube. But when we had everybody in the audience, we have a calendar that we would pass out, so I would always say it's time to look at your calendar, and I know you all can't look at your calendar, but it will be on our website later today, and we'll be publishing that on Facebook, so watch for that calendar to be put on the website. You can print it off in PDF form and get all those dates on your own personal calendars. So here we go. Let me tell you what's happening. Just hit some highlights for the next basically 30 days and if you save the dates. So tomorrow is recycling on the first Saturday of every month. And you're thinking already, Lisa, that's not right. This is the second Saturday. That's because last Saturday was the holiday weekend. So on the first Saturday of every month, we have recycling out at the sanitation yard at 21st and Maple from 8 to noon. You can also drop off bulky debris, furniture, appliances, just junk. No trash, but junk. You can drop all of that off at the sanitation yard as well as your recycling on the first Saturday of every month, again from 8 to 2. You can do the same thing every single Tuesday from 11 to 1. And then on Thursdays, from 8 to 2, you can drop off everything but your recyclables. So the City of Independence provides a great service and allows us a wonderful opportunity to help keep our community clean. So take advantage of an opportunity to keep your property beautiful, help a neighbor, and definitely recycle. Kansas Works is hosting a career fair. It's a virtual career fair titled New Year, New Career. It opens on Tuesday the 12th, so that's next Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a 3-day event, so then it will close on Thursday at 5 o'clock. And this will feature 40-plus local employers from around the Southeast Kansas area. So if you would like to get registered for that, go to sekworks.org/virtual job fair. And if you are an employer who would like to be involved in that, be sure and contact Kansas Works as well. Bulldog basketball is back in action. So, of course, because of COVID, we can't all pack the gymnasium and cheer on the Bulldogs, but we have a couple of opportunities. You can go onto YouTube, and you'll be able to, like for the varsity games, you can search IHS Athletics, and you can watch all of the varsity games, or you can watch all the games, middle school and high school, on YouTube, as well as you can tune into My Country 102.1 local radio station, and we have a lot of business sponsors in our community who are making that available for all of us to be able to tune into the radio and listen to varsity basketball. And the girls will tip off at 6, varsity boys will play at 8, and again, that's next Tuesday evening. We have a couple of hunting events that are coming up at Remington Ranch, one that's the 14th through the 17th, and it's Bird Hunters United National Finals. And then another one will be happening later in the month, and it will be happening January the 29th through the 31st, and that's the National Upland Classic Series Kansas State Championships. So lots of high caliber, highly trained hunting dogs, and their trainers will be out there with them. And we just encourage everyone that might find that interesting to get out and spectate. And we're also very thrilled that our hotels will be packed full of lots of people in town those particular dates as they come in from around the nation to be able to run their dogs. Dr. Epp is retiring, so shout out to Dr. Epp, 46 years of serving animals and their people. Dr. Epp will be having a reception to honor him next Saturday, the 16th, from 2 to 4 at the 4-H building. We do want to practice social distancing, and masking up will be required. Keep everybody safe at that, but congratulations, Dr. Epp. The Diversity Task Force is working in partnership with RSVP to do a food collection for the Independence Food Pantry. It's a service project for the Dr. Martin Luther King Day of Service. So you'll bring canned food and non-perishable food items to, I think, about 3 or 4 different places. So all the schools are taking food donations, as well as you can drop food off at G&W Foods and the Chamber of Commerce at 616 North Penn Avenue. We have a set of double doors at the chamber, so you can come in very safely. You don't even have to come into contact with anyone, drop off your food, and leave. So we encourage everyone to participate in the canned food drive so that we can replenish the food pantry after the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. Also new this year will be the Food Fight Cruise Night food drop-off. It's a canned food drop-off, which will be next Saturday, the 16th at 5 o'clock at the north end of the Oval at Riverside Park. And then right after that, we'll have a Cruisin' Indy Cruise Night that will take place, and all the cars will line up in the Park Oval, and then they will leave the park area and cruise up and down Penn Avenue. And it's just something that they wanted to add to the day of service to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King as kind of an act of unity for all of us just to come together and do something fun in the middle of a time where a lot of our fun things have had to be reorganized because of COVID. So continuing on with that, Dr. Martin Luther King's Memorial Community Celebration, as I mentioned, is going to be virtual, and it's next Sunday, and it will begin with a prelude at 2:30. The ceremony begins at 3, and this year's keynote speaker is Independence's very own Sam Ford. Mr. Ford is an award-winning journalist. Most recently, he was inducted into the Kansas African American Trailblazers Hall of Fame. He spent most of his career in Washington, D.C. as a reporter for both CBS and ABC, very well known in his field, and we're excited to have him in our community, and that he will be being the keynote speaker for the virtual presentation. Also, the Spirit of Unity Award will be given during this ceremony. The recipient is usually a surprise, but this year's very deserving recipient was presented this honor in a private ceremony with his family and friends on Tuesday afternoon. This year's recipient was Jerry Bright, and unfortunately, Jerry passed away on Wednesday evening. Jerry was a friend to all, and he definitely left his mark on our hearts. The presentation that was read to him privately on Tuesday will be read to the public during the ceremony. Jerry will be missed, but his kind heart and his love for all people, which is why he was a deserving recipient, will be felt always. This presentation will be premiered on the Chamber's Facebook page, the high school's Facebook page, the city's Facebook page, and the Diversity Task Force Facebook page. 2 opportunities to save lives. You can sign up for the Indy Saves free CPR AED education class. They have 2 chances to take this class coming up. One will be on Saturday, January the 23rd. Another one will be Saturday, February the 20th. Each class only lasts a couple of hours, 9:30 to 11:30 at Indy Fitness out on West Main. So you can sign up by calling 331-8096 or emailing indysavescpr@gmail.com. The museum has an exhibit coming up in partnership with the public library. It's a Smithsonian traveling exhibition entitled Crossroads Change in Rural America. And you'll be able to see that every Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 4 during those dates of January the 23rd through March the 7th. And also, I just want to encourage everyone to check out the museum's Facebook page. They have a lot of exhibits and programming and things, so check that out so that you're aware of everything happening there. The college is going to be kicking off basketball as well. Thursday the 21st, the women will play at 5 and the men will play at 6, so you can I think go out to the gymnasium and separate and maybe cheer on the Pirates. If not, I hope it's on the radio. The FAB Lab out at ICC has a couple classes, so I want you to go to fablabicc.org and learn about a class that would teach you how to make your own guitar, and it's a super cool opportunity at the FAB Lab. And then we also have the entrepreneurial mindset class that will be going on as well. And so if you want to develop an entrepreneurial mindset for your business and your life, you want to check that out. But again, both those classes are coming up. You can still register for that. And those are at fablabicc.org. And wrapping it up is the Kansas Airstrip attack. So this is April the 17th through the 18th. It will be here before we know it. It's out at the municipal airport, And this event will feature exotic and expensive, one-of-a-kind, high-performance race cars from all over the country. They'll be doing side-by-side drag racing, and it's a ticketed event open to the public. You'll see cars such as Lamborghinis and Porsches and Ferraris, and reaching top speeds of upwards of 200 miles per hour. So it's super cool. They were here in July, and it was pretty impressive to be out there. There's also an after party. They bring all those fancy cars downtown right in front of Brothers Railroad Inn, and you'll be able to take pictures with those cars and meet the drivers, and that's fun as well. And lastly, an exclusive offer to our chamber members only, but the Kansas Airstrip attack has said that they will allow all of our chamber members an opportunity to showcase their business by putting a booth out at the Kansas Airstrip attack for free. You have to buy a ticket to get in, but you can set up your own booth, and I can't imagine a better way to showcase Independence businesses to people from all over the nation as they come into our community I can't imagine a better way than by putting up a free booth. So if you are interested, reach out to the chamber at 331-1890, and we'll get you all set up for that. And again, we're excited to be able to have the Kansas Airstrip attack back in Independence this spring. With that, we're going to start our programming. We've got 4 great speakers lined up this morning. The Chamber works hard every month to come up with a good mix of speakers. These speakers always present relevant and timely and accurate information on lots of different topics. You're going to hear from an eclectic mix of people this morning. We have 4 speakers, so I'm going to tell you who they are and what they're going to speak about, and then we're going to start it off. We have Dr. Gangala. He is the Montgomery County Medical Director. He's going to be telling us all things relevant to COVID-19. And April Nutt, who is the Independence Housing Authority Executive Director, she's going to be talking about a moderate income housing grant and more details around that. Sergeant Jeremy Hunsucker from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office is going to be talking about the K-9 program and some things they have going on there. And then wrapping up our speaker lineup will be a new face to Independence, Angela Anthony, who is the new director of Riverside Park and Ralph Mitchell Zoo. So with that, I'm going to turn it over and have you all welcome Dr. Gangala.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Gangala. I'm the Medical Director for Montgomery County Health Department and a primary care physician at Coffeyville Regional Medical Center. I would like to thank Independence Chamber for inviting me to speak on COVID-19. And for people who all know me very well, I usually am very religious with my mask, and the only reason I'm taking this off is because I want to be very clear to all of you who are listening to this. First of all, I would like to give you an update on COVID number in our county. Till date, we have about 2,400 cases of COVID diagnosed in Montgomery County and about 200 deaths from COVID. We are averaging about 90 cases per day in our county, which basically means that we are experiencing a severe COVID outbreak, and we all need to take the precautions that, so that we can help ourselves. It's to help ourselves, nobody else. Now, to give you a nationwide update, we have about 21 million cases of COVID diagnosed so far, and we are adding about 200,000 new cases every day, which is unfortunately a lot. I want all of you who are listening to me right now to take me very seriously. We are in the deepest and darkest phase of the pandemic right now, and it'll only continue to get worse before it gets better. And the next few weeks coming into February probably will test our medical system. We all need to come out of the bubble where we think that we don't see it, so it's not here. No, trust me, we are seeing it every day, day in and day out, so it is here. So I've been in Coffeyville for the last 8 years, and my last 2 to 3 months here in the hospital have been my busiest since I've started practicing here. Our providers are working very hard to keep up with the rising numbers, and kudos to our nursing staff and our respiratory therapists for taking care of all the COVID patients. I think that our job as medical providers is easier than what our nurses and respiratory therapists are doing with our COVID patients. It's extremely tiring to gown up, glove up, put the masks on, and then put a face shield on and then take care of COVID patients. And then most of these COVID patients are confused, and the elderly COVID patients just keep on taking off their oxygen supplies. And then just imagine the hard work our nurses and our respiratory therapists are doing when they have to go into multiple COVID patients' room to educate them and to comfort the patients to keep their oxygen supply on. And remember, the COVID patients, or for that matter, all the patients are alone in their rooms. So they really don't have their family to hold their hands with when they are in their sickest phase of their life. So it's a hard work that our nurses are doing out in the hospital. And this is just not for one COVID patient. They have to repeat this cycle in and out every single hour. And then they have to take their PPE off and then sit at their desk to chart, and then the cycle repeats again several times in a single hour. And let's not forget to mention that it gets very hot in that PPE. So it's a tiring task. And I do want to mention something about the hard work that goes into keeping the hospital and the patient's rooms clean and infection-free. So kudos to the housekeepers as well. You're all doing a tremendous job in helping out in community. So please, 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 if you've not been following preventive guidelines issued by the CDC, I'm urging each and every one of you to do so, please. We can definitely prevent a serious COVID infection if we do all the three things religiously: wash your hands, avoid crowds, and mask up. And pretty soon we will have a fourth layer of protection, which is the vaccine. I do want to share the seriousness of the current COVID number rise, and I'll give you a live example. This is actually really happening here in America. So COVID in Los Angeles, California, has been on a very steep rise, and it's literally crippling the healthcare system there. And California is pretty big, LA is a pretty big county, very well advanced medical systems there. And I really hoped and wished that this would not happen here, but unfortunately, it is happening right now in California, LA County. So the LA County Emergency Services has advised paramedics that all of the out-of-hospital cardiac arrests, so basically if anybody's heart had to stop out of the hospital, if they don't get return of spontaneous circulation within 20 minutes on site, they will declare the time of death. So they will not transport you to the hospital. Instead, they will declare the time of death. They will work on you for 20 minutes. That's it. And then if they are not able to bring you back, that is it. They will declare the time of death. And you will not be transported to the hospital for any further interventions. 2 days back, and this is for real, 2 days back, the paramedics in LA have also been advised not to use any supplemental oxygen on patients unless their oxygen saturations are less than 90%. This is in efforts to conserve oxygen and to focus care on patients who are already admitted to the hospital. So this is how bad the situation is in California. The ambulances need to wait for several hours before they can get the patients into the ER. In LA County, someone is being killed every 15 minutes on an average by coronavirus. And all of this is really very frightening, you guys. I mean, this is real. I'm not making any of this up. This is as reported by the news, and I'm not exaggerating anything. This is really happening. And some of you will call this fear-mongering, but again, trust me, this is really happening. If it can happen in California, it can happen anywhere. All I'm saying is, we need to take things seriously, and we definitely need to limit the spread of the virus. Again, just don't think that it is not here because you don't see it. All of our get-togethers can wait, and I still advise you to please mask up and follow social distancing if you go to any basketball games or football games, because this is the season. But again, just trust me, there will always be a next time for everything, just not for COVID. Now, let me tell you the situation for us here in Montgomery County. It's not as bad as in LA, but it's definitely not good. All the ICUs in the surrounding 100 to 150 mile radius have reached capacity, and it has become very hard for us here in the hospital to transfer sick ICU patients for higher level of care, just because we don't have any ICU beds in the close vicinity. And again, yes, we can still transfer patients, but it's more than 200 or 250 miles out, and you really don't want your family members to be that far out from you, right? And the situation will only continue to get worse for the remainder of the weeks to come, probably, I don't know, guessing probably into February or so, unless we all of us play our role in mitigating the viral spread. I also want to give you an update about the COVID vaccines. Our county has access to both the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines. Both of them are very efficacious and have a pretty good safety profile. The most common side effect experienced are myalgias, injection site pain, a low-grade fever, and all of this will get better within a few hours to days with some over-the-counter Tylenol, so nothing worrisome. There have also been some anaphylactic reactions reported. We've not have any reported in our county. This is reported the whole across the US in an extremely small number of cases. This is still a rare outcome, but the potential benefits of the vaccine definitely outweigh the risks. And anaphylactic reactions are, I wouldn't say pretty common, but they're readily, easily treatable. And that is the reason why we are administering the vaccine in a medical facility or in a healthcare facility right now. And we do monitor you before you get the vaccine, take your vitals before you get the vaccine, and then monitor you for 15 to 20 minutes after you get the vaccine. And after that, you should be good. As of now, we have vaccinated frontline personnel and have begun vaccinating our long-term care residents. We do not have any news yet as to when we will receive enough vaccine doses for the general population. The next in line to be vaccinated would be people above 65 years of age, and then will come people aged 16 to 64 years of age with severe medical risks, and then finally people 16 to 64 years with minimal medical risk, and then the rest of the population. I would like to conclude my talk by urging and pleading each and every one of you to take things seriously and then do their part in decreasing the transmission of the virus. Please note that driving with a seat belt is not called being scared, so I hope you understand what I mean. And I'll be open to questions for a few minutes, and then I'll have to get back. I don't know if this is being posted live.
It is live, and then it'll go on Facebook Live, but
Okay.
I don't think there are any questions.
Okay.
But I do have a question.
Yes.
So if somebody's not if they're 80 years old, but they're not in a healthcare center, how do they know when it's time for them to get their vaccine?
So we will reach out to people. We are actually collecting a survey of each and every of our patients. We are asking them if they would want to get the vaccination, and we are keeping a log of their names, and as soon as we get the vaccines out to be given to the general public, we'll let them know. Yeah. Any questions from the limited people? All right. Well, thank you very much, and take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. Dr. Gangala, we appreciate everything that you're doing for the county, you're doing for the healthcare industry, and we appreciate you coming this morning. We know that you've got to slip out, but we truly do appreciate everything that you're all doing. And we enjoy Dr. McGurk and your Facebook Lives. So those things help all of us as community members stay in touch and be well informed. So thank you. All right, so up next is April Nutt. As I mentioned before, she is the housing director. She's been working in tandem with Neodesha. They have some really good news to share. So at this time, would you please welcome April Nutt?
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to share the good news about a moderate income housing grant that has recently been awarded to the City of Independence and the cities of Neodesha. Kansas Housing Resources Corporation, or KHRC, is the state's housing agency. Each year, the state legislature provides them with $2 million to fund the moderate income housing program. The Moderate Income Housing Program serves the needs of moderate income households that do not qualify for federal assistance. The MIH grant and/or loan are awarded to cities and counties that have a population below 60,000, and that is for the purpose to construct multifamily housing for rent or for single-family homes for sale. As I previously stated, KHRC receives the $2 million for the Moderate Income Housing Grant. And what is moderate income housing? What do they consider moderate income? Well, if you're currently, and it changes on an annual basis, This is established by HUD, Housing and Urban Development. A family of 2 making $91,781 maximum is what would qualify, or a family of 4 making $114,750. So that's kind of a range. It is by household numbers. So if you qualify, and for independents, this is going to qualify probably 95% of our community. So we will be able to construct housing for the majority of our community to qualify for. This $2 million grant this year, they received 24 applications. And out of that 24 applications, they had almost $7.8 million requested. Housing in rural America is very difficult. There is a disconnect between what it costs to construct versus what a property will appraise out at. And so it's very difficult for developers to come in and do this. So we felt very fortunate that we went together, the City of Independence, through the Independence Housing Authority, and the City of Neodesha collaborated. Our state agencies love collaboration, as well as Neodesha just had their Promise program that they established there through their school district. So they were in need. And so we partnered and submitted the application to KHRC, and we were awarded the maximum grant of $400,000. There will be $200,000 for each community, and in that, we will be able to put, and this will show you how expensive it is to create a new subdivision. That Independence's $200,000 will go for 9 lots, and we will add $250,000 to that to get the infrastructure for 9 new lots. That's $50,000 apiece. That's estimates. So I'm hoping that when we go out for bid, it'll come in a little less. But what is infrastructure? Infrastructure is stormwater, sewer, it is curb, gutter, sidewalks, and streets. So that's what we will be getting with the new grant. We will be putting the infrastructure in for 9 lots. The project for this development is a new subdivision for Independence as well as Neodesha. Both of us are constructing a new subdivision. Independence's new subdivision is going to be directly north of Bradley Court, directly east of the Jefferson School. There is 7.39 acres there that we will be developing. We will be able to put 21 total new homes there. So this is a 3-phase project. We're starting off with 9, 4, and then we'll finish up with the 8. We're hoping that we can change it to a 2-phase project, but of course that will depend on additional funding and potentially additional grant funds to do this. IHA has been extremely successful in constructing housing. As you may be aware or may not, we started back in 2004 with an analysis that we needed housing. And as I stated, it's very difficult to get contractors in. Developers won't come to rural America to do it unless there's some sort of incentive. And most of the incentives had previously been for low-income housing. And so the Housing Authority, through an effort with the Chamber of Commerce, did a housing study back then, and as Independence does, we couldn't get developers. We tried, we courted. We decided we'd pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And so the Housing Authority funded a project called the Eisenhower Subdivision. And I'm happy to say it's completed. It's 28 homes that we constructed out there by Eisenhower School. It's a history lesson for the kids. It's General Bradley, General Patton, General Eisenhower, and General MacArthur. So that was kind of funny when we named streets. But anyway, because of the success of the Eisenhower Subdivision, we actually had started the first 4 homes prior to the '07 flood. And matter of fact, the night of the Great Flood, 3 people were moving into the first 4 homes we constructed. But out of that, I'm happy to say that because of its success and because we were so unfortunately devastated by the '07 flood, we were able to get grant funds through KHRC. At that time, the state government had set aside some funding, and we were able to put the infrastructure in on the second, third, and fourth cul-de-sac with those grant funds. But because of what we had done prior to, the state looked at that as a model, and that was how the moderate income housing grant was developed, was off of what Independence had done. So kudos to Independence for setting the bar and setting the standards and bringing this about, because housing for rural Kansas is very difficult. And so it's nice to see that we're able to set aside $2 million annually to help out these small communities. One of the other things I would like to talk about, what we are hoping to do with the new subdivision, which hasn't been named. So if anybody has some fun, cool names, send them to me. Right now, I just call it the 7.39 acre development. So I'm looking for some inspiration. But we are going to also go to the local governmental entities. One of the things that we would like to do so that we can replenish our pot, this is going to be new construction. It'll be new homes. So currently, there's not tax dollars collected on these. What we would like to do is set up a rural housing incentive district with this new subdivision. And what that means is that for the first 10 years, whatever property taxes are collected will go back into a fund. Instead of the governmental entities getting those funds, we will be able to put those funds back into a development account so that at the end of the success of this subdivision, we're able to roll those funds over into another new subdivision or other housing programs. But that is something that we're currently going to work on. We have to get all 4 governmental entities that receive property taxes here in Independence to participate. So that will be a next step that we are working on. Hopefully, we will be successful in that endeavor. And as I've said to you, why are we doing this? Why is the city, the housing authority, developing new housing? Why are you not letting the free market take care of it? Well, as I've said, it's difficult. We cannot get developers to come in and do it. Unless you're going to build a home yourself and you don't necessarily worry about the disconnect of what it costs to construct versus what it'll appraise out at and I can get the loan. As well as developers are wanting to make a profit, and rightfully so. We just can't get them to come here. So, I visited with all the realtors when I was preparing for this application and this grant request. And I asked, what's the state of the housing market here in Independence? And interestingly enough, we are just blowing up here in Independence. We have had, some of my stats showed that we had over 9 months of housing on the market, available housing, that means 9 months supply. And we are currently at a 5-month supply from the beginning of the year till now, with COVID, through COVID. And they were telling me about all these incredible people that are moving here to Independence. So I wanted to know the story. Why Independence? How did you find us? Are you finding the housing that you're looking for? And so those of you who know me, I don't post on Facebook too terribly often, but I did here the other day. I post on what's happening in Independence. And I want to say thank you to everybody who responded. I got lots of posts back. I got a lot of private messages. And their stories are so fun. We've got people moving here from the East and West Coast, from Colorado, from Georgia, Arizona, Wyoming. I know Texas. I'm going to miss some of them that responded. But I asked why. How did you find Independence? Why Independence? And their stories were very diverse, but a majority of them have been through Independence at some point in time, either visiting family and friends, or it was in the middle of starting at point A to getting to point B. They saw the park, they saw our downtown, and so they stopped off. Or they were here with a marching band at some point in time in their life with Niwala. So it was really interesting. I had one couple who, it's a retired couple, she made the comment that, I remember as a little girl with mom and dad stopping off at the park. And so her and her husband decided that where they were at, they wanted to move to a small community and get out of the metropolitan area. And so she was reminiscing about her childhood, and she said, I was at this incredible community that had this incredible park when I was a little girl. Can we go visit it? And so they trekked about an 8-hour drive to Independence, Kansas, and they're here now. So, and I could go on, and I don't have time. I'm looking at my time. Yep, I'm about ready to run out. I have 20 stories like that of why people are coming to Independence. So I want to say kudos to the Chamber and Main Street and the city and MAC for working so hard to support our economic development efforts, so hard on our amenities that we have in this community. And I want to say thank you to the citizens, because the other thing that they kept saying was, the people are so nice. It's so different from where we've come from. The community has been warm and welcoming. So with all of that, if we're having more and more people come here, which is awesome, we've got to have more housing. So that is our efforts, and that's what we are working on. So anyway, I'm out of time. And if you have any questions or anything like that, please give me a call, text me, email me. I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you. So I live at General MacArthur Court. Yes, I do. When I moved away for a couple of years, and when I moved back, had no place to live, and called up April, and I was so lucky because there was one new home that was left in the cul-de-sac, and I snatched it up, and I've been there for 10 years, and I absolutely love it. So I'm excited that there's going to continue to be development in our community, and houses made available for, as she said, 95% of our residents. So super excited about that project. Excited about another project that we have going on. So this morning we have Sergeant Jeremy Hunsucker from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. I've known Jeremy now for some years. Our paths crossed when he was bringing a group of dog handlers, canine officer handlers. I don't know if that's the exact title, but they were here for a conference. I'm sure he might be touching on that as well. But we're excited to have him here to talk to us about the canine program that the Sheriff's Office has, the future of that program, some things that are happening at the Sheriff's Department. I want to congratulate him. He's a new dad. December the 17th, he and his wife welcomed a new little baby boy. So we're excited to have this young couple as part of our community. So would you please welcome Jeremy Hunsucker.
Thank you for having me here this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak with you in regards to the canine program at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. I was employed with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office in 2009. I currently hold the rank as Sergeant Patrolman. I was presented the opportunity to become a canine handler in 2010. At that point, the Sheriff's Office had 4 canines. The majority of those canines came from McConnell Air Force Base. They were granted to us. Those canines have now retired. We are currently without any canines at this point. A lot of this has to do to funding and not being able to obtain canines from McConnell Air Force Base. The large amount of agencies that are requesting canines from them makes the time frame a 4 to 5 year wait period to be able to obtain another one. Canine Cairo was the last operational canine at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. I was his handler, began handling in 2010, and this was my second canine. Cairo has been unable to continue due to age and medical conditions. He was a dual-purpose canine. That means that he was able to detect narcotics and also do patrol work such as tracking, area search, building search, and handler protection. We currently used Cairo for patrol work, assisting other outside agencies in the community and outside of Montgomery County, as well as the Sheriff's Emergency Response Team, which most people would consider just a SWAT team. The canine really, assists officers in keeping them safe by deploying the dog into the building to search for someone without having to send officers in there. It keeps us from engaging the person, possibly saving an officer's life. We are currently looking at attempting to raise $25,000 for 2 dogs. The first dog that we're trying to get the funds for would be for me to handle. This dog would come possibly out of Florida from Southern Coast Canine. We've received a quote from them for $14,000. This dog would come fully trained in narcotics and patrol work, which would save the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office approximately a year to get this canine to standards to be able to hit the street and start working from day one. I've trained 2 canines and personally know that it takes anywhere from 6 months to a year depending on the canine's age. And it is very time consuming. It's a 7-day-a-week job, several hours a day trying to get the patrol dog ready to deploy. The second canine would be used as a single-purpose dog for narcotics only. And this dog would be taken around to the schools in Montgomery County for drug searches and sniffs. I have recently in the past used the dual-purpose dog for demonstrations at schools and programs to be able to show the kids and the children the narcotics that the dog is searching for and how he does it. We have held the Kansas Police Dog Association conference one time so far in the past. It was a full week conference, and we are currently scheduled to hold the fall conference in 2021, which is in October. This will be a 4-day conference. The Kansas Police Dog Association is where the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office currently seeks training and assistance and certification for the canines. We've been members with the organization for multiple years at this point, and I've in the past been president of the organization and currently serve on the board as a board of director. This organization allows for 40-plus dog teams to come to Montgomery County and to assist housing for the hotel rooms for them and the dogs for multiple days, restaurants, and I feel that it is good for the county itself and for the sheriff's office to step up and hold these events to bring additional officers into the community. And we will continue to try to strive to hold either the spring or fall conference here. We've been able to do this due to Sheriff Wade acknowledging the fact that we need canines in the county and the assistance of Chad Richenberger. Without the 2 of them, this would not have been possible, or we would not be at the point that we are currently, and I appreciate Mr. Richenberger's assistance in this. The checks can be made out to the Community Foundation for Independence / Montgomery County Sheriff's Department Dog Project. The P.O. Box is 1003 Independence, Kansas. This is a tax-deductible contribution. We are keeping a detailed list of the individuals that have donated to the project And for the individuals that are currently watching this that have donated, I sincerely appreciate it. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. For the opportunity to handle one more canine for me. This will be my last canine, but in hopes I will always have a hand in the canine teams at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. I've watched it grow since I became a part of it in 2010. It's amazing the dogs that we were able to obtain and train through the Kansas Police Dog Association. And thank you very much, Lisa, for allowing us to come up here and speak about this. It's very important to me, and I appreciate all the assistance from your organization as far as Back the Blue signs and being able to sell them, and assistance for donating money to the Canine Project as well. And that is all that I have. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to take a load off of Jeremy's mind because he's sleep deprived. He's fighting crime and taking care of our county. So we're going to step up as a community and help them raise those funds so that they can get the new canine dog in our county, especially one that's already trained and ready to go. And we're super excited about that opportunity. So they need our help because, as I understand, this is not a budgeted item for the Sheriff's Department. This is an extra expense that they need to take on. So they need our help. We have an opportunity for you to help and still have fun. So Mark Farrell with Mossy Kennels, he's a chamber member, came in and he gave us about 30 of these signs, and it says, thank you and Back the Blue. And then on this side, it's peace, love, and the badge symbol. And so it's peace, love, Back the Blue, we thank you. And it's a sign that comes on a stake. We have one at the chamber office right now. So it's basically a yard sign. And for every $25 that you donate, you get a sign. So you can give that sign to someone. You can put it in your own yard, or you can just make a donation of any amount. But again, we're taking the donations at the chamber office as well as at the Community Foundation for Independence. So any monies that come into the chamber, we'll turn them over to the foundation. But I really just ask everyone that is watching this on Facebook Live or on YouTube to contribute to this cause. Think about an opportunity to celebrate someone's birthday this year. You know, we all have everything, and those hard to buy for people. What a great way to honor somebody by contributing to this cause in their honor or their memory, or just make a generous contribution. If you're a business and maybe your employees want to go together and maybe do some kind of fundraiser to donate to a very worthy cause, I can't imagine a better one than to be able to raise funds in our community for a canine and the work that they do to help keep us safe in our community and our county. So just encourage everyone to give some thoughtful consideration to donating to that cause. And then also I want to thank you, Jeremy, for your leadership on the association, the Kansas Police Dogs Association, and your work with that conference. That made an economic impact in our community when Jeremy stepped up and said, hey, Independence wants to sponsor that conference. It was a lot of work. They brought in all of those handlers, the dogs. I remember when they were all lined up out here in front of the Civic Center. They were out in our community doing lots of training on farmland and undisclosed areas. And that, again, was a very significant piece of economy that was brought to our community. They were in our hotels, they were in our restaurants, they were having catered food in. So we appreciate his support in, once again, stepping up to the plate and taking on that workload in addition to what they're already doing to organize the conference that will be in the fall of 2021. Wrapping up our speaker list today is a new face. You see half her face until she gets up here, and then we'll get to see all of her face. Her name is Angela Anthony. She is the new director of Riverside Park and Ralph Mitchell Zoo, the gym that we all know and love, the gym that is causing people to make those decisions to come back to Independence and buy homes because of those wonderful childhood memories that were created out at the park. She has a lot on her hands. She has big shoes to fill with the recent retirement of Barb Burskins, but she's highly trained and skilled and educated, and we know the city made the right decision when they hired Angela. And with that, I want to welcome her to Independence, and I want to welcome her to the podium so that she can slip off her mask. You'll see what she looks like, and she can tell you all about herself as well as share some information about her ideas and projects for 2021. Please welcome Angela.
Good morning, and I wanted to extend my thanks to Lisa for having me today here as a presenter at First Friday. I also wanted to pass along a message of gratitude from my staff out there at Riverside Park and Ralph Mitchell Zoo and Mount Hope Cemetery to the citizens of Independence. Like many entities, we faced many challenges in 2020 brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, but thank you for your support and your commitment to my department and to my staff. Even though we had to modify the services, including ride operation hours and concessions that we provided last year during our busy season, the 2020 season was one of the largest seasons that we had to date. So that was truly impressive, and we thank you for that. From the absolute bottom of our collective department's heart, thank you to each and every one who came out and supported us. That means so much to us. And that comes from my staff. So that's Katie, Jim, Garrett, Crystal, John, Calvin, Mia, Travis, Jade, Heath, myself, and then the recently retired Barb. We need that level of support to survive, to thrive, and to further our growth, and we look forward to serving everyone in the 2021 season. When I was invited to speak today, I was asked to provide an introduction of myself, to tell the community of Independence about the person that was chosen to lead the park, the zoo, and the cemetery up the road from where I stand. The enormity of this task proved difficult as I can talk about birds, bears, and bobcats all day long, but to provide a natural history, if you will, of myself is less interesting, at least to me. Many years ago on television, I heard the term full circle moment, and I've held on to this term for over a decade. As a former college professor at Rogers State University and a high school science teacher, I've often heard this termed another way as saying, see one, do one, and teach one. In other words, what am I doing today that I learned yesterday that I can teach to others tomorrow? My leadership style, leading from the front, I pulled from 4 years of enlistment in the United States Army from 2011 to 2015. I learned more about being a leader and understanding the nuances that go along with that while deployed in Afghanistan in 2013 as a senior combat medic for the 139th Military Police Company than at any other time in my life. I learned perseverance while obtaining my first of 2 master's degrees from the University of Nebraska system, where I had to almost start over all of my courses from the beginning after a long break in which I served my country. My research for my first master's degree involved wildlife studies at a small field station in Campo Grande, Brazil, where I studied the winter fruit-eating behavior of lowland tapirs, which is the largest land mammal in the Western Hemisphere. As my research involved collecting tapir scat and examining it underneath the microscope for fruit seeds and trying to figure out what those fruit seeds are. When I tell people about that research, I get to say that I spent a lot of time digging through doo-doo to get that master's degree. My second master's degree is in entomology, which is the study of insects. Handling the federally endangered American burying beetle taught me patience, to move slowly to examine the earth, to trod gingerly to respect others' territory. I completed that degree while employed as a federal park ranger for the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, the agency that is responsible for the conservation of all wildlife within the boundaries of the United States. Working for that agency deepened my understanding of the dedication that is employed each day by civil servants across our city, across our state, and then also across our nation. In being a federal park ranger, I earned my red card as a wildland firefighter, and I also served as both a canoe and kayak instructor as well as an archery instructor. I'm a nationally registered EMT. I also hold a bachelor's degree in professional studies and an associate's degree in psychology. Lastly, in early 2019, I began my journey towards earning my doctorate in education, and that's a long road that should be completed by May of this year. While my background is varied and my former adventures many, my next grand adventure here is in the City of Independence as a new park, zoo, and cemetery director. As someone who met the qualifications and once applied to be a NASA astronaut, that's a true story, long before I knew that I was going to become the director of Riverside Park, Ralph Mitchell Zoo, and Mount Hope Cemetery, I have the utmost respect for little 7-pound Miss Abel, the rhesus monkey that was handpicked from our very own Monkey Island out at Ralph Mitchell Zoo to fly aboard the Jupiter rocket in May of 1959. 7 pounds might be little, but it was enough to make history, and she was mighty. I would like to think that our park, our zoo, and our cemetery still embody the aura of that little furry creature, and that we are small, but together we are mighty. In 2021, the staff of the park and zoo will begin the long road of AZA accreditation with a goal to apply in March of 2026. AZA is the gold standard for zoos and aquariums in the United States. Reaching accreditation proves that our zoo or another animal facility is providing optimal food and enrichment activities, tending to animals' veterinary needs, and providing the largest component of any zoo's mission in today's society, and that's educating the visiting public. Our goal, our main goal for 2021, is to expand the educational programming and offerings that we have at the zoo in 2021 and increase signage in the zoo that details both the natural history and conservation status of each of the species that is underneath our care. I want the visiting public to get the opportunity to know our animals in the same light that we know them. They each have names and they each have personalities. And that is one of the things that a lot of people, whenever they see pictures that we post online, that's one of the first things that they'll ask is what's that animal's name? What's the raccoon's name? What is the cougar's name? So I want everyone to know that information. While Miss Abel literally graced the stars with her presence, our other animal friends entrusted in our care are no less important. Many people are on a first-name basis with Jenny, our donkey, but how many are aware of the name of our little emu, Shadow, who was born at the zoo? If you visit the historical pond in the zoo, you'll be greeted by our mute swan, and his name is Derek, and while he is beautiful, he is not all that friendly. Buster runs the roost on Monkey Island, and Tink, of course, is our infamous mountain lion. Before I was entrusted with the literal jewel of the City of Independence, I did not have the opportunity to get to know the animals on a personal level, to interface with the staff, and to learn from the zoo in the manner that AZA suggests that guests should. Today, I know that Tommy, our bull elk, likes Christmas trees, and that Sven, our Reeves muntjac, has canine teeth and can bark much like a dog. I'm blessed with the opportunity to learn something from our park and zoo every day, and I feel in my heart that the citizens of Independence should have that opportunity to do so as well. While we will strive to connect with our guests in 2021, both virtually through social media, such as our Facebook page and also our Instagram page, and in person to provide a more personal insight into our facility. 2020 saw that our feeders around Monkey Island and the duck pond had to close because of social distancing protocols, but we pledged to provide enhanced feeding and interaction opportunities with our animals and our keepers in 2021. Let us guide you through the stories of our past and also our visions into the future. 2021 will surely bring challenges and obstacles to overcome, much like 2020. However, I'm confident that my staff will rise to the challenge, and we will all be greeting you with smiling faces at Riverside Park, Ralph Mitchell Zoo, and Mount Hope Cemetery. Thank you so much for allowing us to serve the community of Independence, and we will, just like Miss Abel did in 1959, be reaching for the stars.
Well, if that's not obvious that the park and the zoo is in good hands, then you were not paying attention. So, wow, you have an interesting story and lots of great experience that you're bringing to the table. So I must say that during COVID, my mom and my sister, we would walk through the one-way, and that was in March, and we walked through the one-way week after week, and we watched Tommy's antlers get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I encourage you, if you have not been through the one-way, to go through the one-way, and right at the end, look off to your right, and you will see the elk out there with his absolutely amazing antlers right now. And he's not shed, right? Okay. Okay, they're beautiful, but it was just such a transformation to watch that. And again, I love the fact that you mentioned the history of our park and our zoo, in particular, Miss Abel. And I'm very excited to hear you say that you're going to promote the educational piece of the park. I think that that's something that is a wonderful opportunity for people that are coming into our community and visiting our community. So we're excited about that. I want to thank you for your service to our country. We appreciate that, and we hope that you are and will continue to receive a warm Independence welcome. So we're all glad that you're here. So thank you for the work that you're going to do. With that, I want to say thank you again to all of our speakers. I so appreciate Dr. Gangala being here this morning. And again, he needed to get back to work. And I appreciate all of his leadership with the Montgomery County Health Department. And I appreciate April and all of the work that you do with the Housing Authority and making sure that that we have adequate housing in our community and that there's a focus on that so that when people want to choose Independence as their home, that they can find a home that is a place that that they love and is a reason why they choose Independence. So we're thankful for the Housing Authority's work that they're doing. Jeremy, I can't tell you how much we appreciate everything that you do every single day, the risks that you take, the dedication to your job. We probably don't say it enough how much that we truly thank those that are in our law enforcement. So I speak on behalf of everybody when I say thank you so much for what you do. And Angela, welcome to Independence. I want to thank Ascension Medical Group, St. John Independence for being our business sponsor this morning. I want to offer up this opportunity for anyone else that would like to be a business sponsor. Again, be sure and give us a call. If you know of a speaking topic that you would like to offer up to me as a suggestion for future months, I'm always open to ideas. I have a pretty good running list of people that I would like to get in front of the community to speak at future First Fridays, but I'm always open to ideas. So give me a call at the chamber at 331-1890. And if there's something that you want us to put on the community calendar, be sure and let me know. We're always willing to help promote anything and almost everything that would benefit our community members. So please let us know if there's something that you would like to put on the calendar. I'm on the radio numerous times with taping the community calendar, doing radio interviews. The radio stations are very generous with radio time, and so if you tell me if there's something you'd like for me to plug, I can usually work that in and make sure that I can share your information with everyone. So again, check out our Facebook page at Get Independence. Stay connected to our website. Always give us a call. The front door is open as long as you got a mask on. And again, I want to thank everyone for coming, tuning in for our virtual First Friday. I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Thank you again to our business sponsor and to all of our speakers. And we will see you next month on Friday, February the 5th. That's a lot of F's. And right here, either virtually or in person, depending on the situation we're in, but it will start at 7:30. Thank you again.